Donald Trump has gone mute on Sunday. He's gone silent. He is MIA while his world is falling apart. And frankly, while the world is on fire, and he's a major contributing factor to the world being on fire. So the last post that Donald Trump made on his social media platform was about 15 hours ago. In the middle of the school shooting at Brown University, Donald Trump was making posts with photos of himself next to Christmas trees, a bizarre kind of ode to himself. That's the last time he posted. He did not post this morning to acknowledge the horrific terrorist attack at Bondi Beach, targeting Jewish groups who were celebrating the first night of Hanukkah and a group of terrorists attacked them there, killing 12 and injuring many more. No posts from Donald Trump about that. There have been no further posts about Donald Trump regarding Brown University after Donald Trump provided a lot of lies and disinformation about yesterday, saying that the shooter was in custody, although today there is a person of interest that they are speaking with. But Donald Trump gave disinformation yesterday, and no response also to the fact that you have, for example, the leader of Thailand saying that Donald Trump's statements about Thailand agreeing to a ceasefire were utterly false as Thailand pursues an offensive against Cambodia. You take a look, though, at Donald Trump's kind of world falling apart as he goes mute this morning. A new NBC News poll that just came out shows that Donald Trump's support amongst MAGA is fading away. So amongst people who identify as Republican over MAGA, Donald Trump's approval there of people who strongly approve, who consider themselves just Republicans, is now only 35%. So that's like Republican, but not really MAGA. Amongst MAGA, okay, Donald Trump's approval on this new poll only stands at 70% of MAGA. That means Donald Trump has lost 30% of MAGA support. I mean, that is significant right there. In addition, as I mentioned, the horrific terrorist attacks this morning on Bondi Beach in Australia of a group of people, Jewish people celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. There was also this incredible moment where, courageous moment where someone by the name of Ahmed Al-Ahmad, a Muslim 43-year-old father of two, bravely risked his life to save his neighbors celebrating Hanukkah and actually disarmed one of the shooters. And you see that right there. Before going on, let me just remind you, hit subscribe. Help the MeidasTouch YouTube channel get 6 million subscribers. As you know from our reporting earlier this morning, Fox, and I put this in quotes now, News, which I call state regime media, has been attacking our YouTube channel relentlessly with segments on Fox because we've been reporting on Donald Trump's declining health. You see that Trump's been attacking us. So please, if you can, hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million subscribers. So we've heard from a lot of world leaders who have responded to this terrorist attack at Bondi Beach in Australia. Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, he wrote, horrified by the anti-Semitic terror attack that has stolen the lives of 11, now we know it's 12 people, at a Hanukkah event on Bondi Beach in Australia. Canada stands with the people of Australia and Jewish people everywhere in sorrow and determination never to bow to terrorism, violence, and hatred and intimidation. Hanukkah is a time of light amidst darkness and a remembrance of the resilience of the Jewish people. May we all support and strengthen the resilience to protect our Jewish communities. I mean, this is how a leader responds to these things, whereas Donald Trump goes mute. Donald Trump was willing to respond with lies yesterday that the shooter at Brown University was in custody, but now hasn't said anything since posting a bizarre image of himself 15 hours ago. You have the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. He responds while they're literally under invasion by Russia. He has the ability to respond. Ukraine stands in solidarity with Australia in the face of the brutal terrorist attack at Bondi Beach, Sydney, which targeted the Jewish community at the start of Hanukkah. We express our condolences to the families. Terror and hatred must never prevail. They must be defeated everywhere and at any time. all leaders were giving basically responses like that. Donald Trump did give an interview in the past 48 hours, it appears, to Wall Street Journal, which was an exclusive that they published this morning, though. And this was the headline from Wall Street Journal, okay, owned by Murdoch. Trump isn't certain his economic policies will translate to midterm wins. In interview, he says his efforts to secure investments in the U.S. haven't fully taken effect, and I cannot tell you how that's going to equate to the voter. However, during his call with the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal reporter noticed that Donald Trump he interrupted the interview with the reporter multiple times to take calls from people like Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, who joined by speakerphone to discuss the administration's plans to take over the Washington, D.C. golf courses. So Donald Trump's priorities are positioning himself to now run all of the D.C. public golf courses and basically turn them into Trump golf courses. Donald Trump has issued a notice of default to the public golf courses in D.C., coming up with some pretext that they're in default of something. And then Donald Trump said that he will be taking over the golf courses himself, and basically they will be turned into golf courses. Into Trump golf courses. This, as in the last 24 hours, we have in Australia the Bondi Beach killing, terrorist attack, 12 killed, 29 injured, and this Islamist terrorist attack on Jewish Australians. In the USA, you have Brown University shooting, killing 2, injuring 9. The suspect still at large, although there is someone of interest being talked to right now by authorities. In Germany, 5 men arrested for plotting a vehicle attack at a Christmas market. And in Thailand, they've launched an offensive against Cambodia, and the leader has said the following about Donald Trump. The leader of Thailand has said, "We regret and were disappointed by the points made by Trump, having bearing upon the feeling of the Thai people, Thailand, because we consider ourselves, we are proud, in fact, to be the oldest treaty ally of the United States in the region." By the way, that statement echoed what we previously heard from Prime Minister Modi of India when Donald Trump was saying, "Oh, I've got them to agree to a ceasefire because I dangled some trade in front of them. I told them we'd give them some of that American money. You want that American money?" And these other sovereign nations are saying, we're proud nations. We're proud of our heritage. Stop treating us like this. You have nothing to do with our internal affairs. Stop misrepresenting what is taking place there. So it's more important than ever that we get accurate news right now as the Trump regime and their propaganda machine tries to flood the zone with lies. I'll give you just an example right here. I mean, take this story that no one in the right-wing media is covering. Literally 0% coverage on right-wing media. Gaza amputees struggle to rebuild lives as the enclave faces shortages of prosthetic limbs. No right-wing media is covering it. It's being covered primarily by left-wing media and center media. And what you realize is that a lot of this propaganda media out there is infecting people's minds as what's covered and not covered is impacting how people perceive the world. I just want to give people the receipts and the facts and the data and let people make decisions for themselves. So people often ask, how do I stay up to date on the news all the time in order to do the MeidasTouch podcast? So my go-to news source is something called Ground News. It's a subscriber-funded app and news site, and every day they pull in thousands of articles from around the world and organize them by story and then show you what's the right reporting, what's the center reporting, what is the left reporting. It's a game changer because as active, responsible citizens, we must get our news from reliable sources. In Trump's America, being informed about facts and media bias, I think it's the most important thing you can do. But that's why I love Ground News. For every article, they also tell you, did a media conglomerate put this news out or was it independent media? And they also list the degree of factuality, which is interesting as there are a lot of news sources for media conglomerates that have mixed or low factuality. Independent media seems to have a higher factuality, but you get all of that with your Ground News Vantage subscription. I especially like their blind spot feed, which highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum, like the story I just shared about Gaza amputees. It's not being covered by right-wing media at all. So join us by going to ground.news/MTN to get 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan that I use every morning. They are subscriber funded. By subscribing, you're not only getting a tool we all need today, you're also supporting our work here on this YouTube channel. So go to ground.news/MTN and we've pinned the link to purchase your subscription below. For example, remember when Donald Trump and all the media was saying there's a TikTok deal, that Donald Trump and Xi Jinping have made this deal with TikTok and Trump's buddies are going to be taking it over and the algorithm, the algorithm's going to be controlled by them, and Trump's like, I got a deal. And remember I said this guy just makes up fake deals over. All of his deals are fake. Every one of his peace deals are fake deals. They're not even ceasefires. They're fake. All of his trade deals are fake. They don't exist. There's no documentation with signatures. There's none of that. Just think to yourself, have you ever signed agreements where people don't sign them? Have you ever been a part of an agreement where they're like, you're bound by it, and you don't sign the thing? Trump's just making these things up and he's posting about them and just pretending they exist. So one of the things we're seeing now is that U.S. TikTok investors, the Trump's right-wing friends who said they were going to be buying it, they're in limbo as the deal is set to be delayed again. For example, a billionaire by the name of Frank McCourt told BBC News, we're just standing by and waiting to see what happens. Billionaire investors keen on buying TikTok, they've now been saying that they're left in limbo at the latest deadline. As the latest deadline for the app sale looms, the U.S. is repeatedly delaying the date by which the Chinese platform's owner ByteDance must sell or be blocked by American users. Why? Because Xi Jinping has totally outmaneuvered Donald Trump in every sense. Xi Jinping is not going to give over the algorithm to the United States with TikTok when he sees how weak Donald Trump is. If the United States really meant it, look, whether you like TikTok or not, if the United States wanted to project strength, then when they did a law to ban it, you follow through with your law. But Xi Jinping sees real weakness in Donald Trump right now. He sees, all I got to do is withhold rare earth elements and not buy soybeans. And Donald Trump does whatever the hell I want him to do. Heck, Donald Trump just gave us the H200 NVIDIA chips, which is a national security threat to the United States. And we'll just take one or two of them, give it to Huawei, have the Chinese company that does tech stuff, and we'll have them just copy it. Thank you for giving us your national security secrets to the United States. Now, with all of this going down, just take a look right here at this chart of the number of Europeans traveling to the U.S., which has cratered under Donald Trump. Canada led the way in the boycott on U.S. tourism. And now, though, we're seeing basically every European nation tourism, whether it's Denmark, Germany, Iceland, UK, Sweden, Spain, Norway, you name it, tourism is down on all these countries, 30 to 40%. And we saw that with Canada leading the way. And these countries people from these countries are traveling elsewhere. They don't want to go to the United States with ICE Gestapo attacking them and with Border Patrol throwing them in detention centers and doing chemical warfare wherever they go. People don't want to deal with the fascist regime of Donald Trump. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous right now. And just you think about some of the other priorities that this Trump regime is focused on now, right? So with everything I've been telling you about going down in the world, you have Donald Trump focused on taking over the golf courses in Washington, D.C., the ballroom, by the way, which there's a lawsuit filed to block the ballroom now by the National Trust Historic Preservation Group, and there's going to be a hearing on that Tuesday. But Donald Trump is also focused on saying that sign language services intrude on Trump's ability to control his image. So Donald Trump has banned sign language interpreters from going to events that Trump's at. And he doesn't want any sign language interpretation. He says it harms his ability to control his image, and the Department of Justice has put that in court documents, saying that no sign language interpreters. And people who rely on that, deaf community, are saying, we need that to understand what you're saying. And Trump's like, no, that harms my image. That harms my image. Okay. Now, finally, we've been reporting on this before, and we'll keep up our reporting on it as well. We have, as Donald Trump brought in the old leader of Al-Qaeda, who's now the president of Syria, Jelani, who now goes by the name Ahmed al-Shara, right? Literally, the leader of Al-Qaeda is now the president of Syria. And Trump's like, President Trump's like, you're so handsome, you're so good looking, let me spray cologne on you. Remember Donald Trump sprayed cologne on the guy and like perfume on the guy and started sniffing him? Well, now we know that the Americans who were killed in Syria were killed by people from Jelani's government, by the way. One of Jelani's top aides, one of the lieutenants for Jelani's top aides was the terrorist who ended up killing the American soldiers. And now we have new footage circulating from Deir ez-Zor showing fighters linked to Ahmed al-Shara chanting, the leader of Syria, chanting military songs associated with Hamas's al-Qassam brigades and referencing Gaza. And so this is what's going on right now. So Trump may think that, he may be trying to sell you a bill of goods that, oh, everything's going great. But in the real world, I'm just telling you what's going down right now. 2 clips I want to show you. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is how Lindsey Graham is using these horrific terrorist attacks that are taking place in Australia. Lindsey Graham and MAGAs use it to attack the idea of a Palestinian state. Just want you to think about how horrific that is. There's a horrible terrorist attack, and this is a way that MAGAs try to use it to justify not allowing Palestinians to have their own state, which I think is, this is what MAGA's trying to do. My view, of course, there should be a 2-state solution. Of course, there should be a free Palestine. Here's what Lindsey Graham says. Play this clip.
The man who was killed, the rabbi that was killed in this attack, wrote a letter to the Prime Minister of Australia weeks ago asking him to reconsider recognizing the Palestinian state. To every Western government who's recognized a Palestinian state, you're rewarding killing Jews. It's the most irresponsible decision I can imagine. What state are you recognizing?
And here's what Rand Paul, Republican, has to say about Donald Trump threatening regime change everywhere in South America. Play this clip.
America. The president also said, well, be careful, Colombia, you could be next. If we're going to go and topple regime after regime in South America, there's no amount of money that can be printed to pay for that. And I don't think that the lives should be lost without a vote by Congress and the people approving of this. That's what our Constitution intended.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thank you so much for watching.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.